All right, so this is part 2 of a 2-part series all about your business plan. If you missed last week's video, I've got that linked, but today we're diving into the sometimes scary, but it's actually not so scary, world of finance, because I want to make sure that if you start your own food photography business, that you can make it profitable. What's shakin' bacon? I'm Joni Simon. Welcome to my studio. This is where I do food photography, and the goal here is to grow your food photography skills so you can feel confident behind the camera. And like I mentioned, this is part 2 for a 2-part series all about your business plan. And so it's coming from this book right here, What They Didn't Teach You in Photo School. It's part of the Bite Shop Book Club. If you're not a part of the book club and you want to know what else we've read, I've got all the details down below. But last week we talked about those foundations of the things you really need to consider, just what makes you special and unique in your business. But today we're going to dive into the financial side of things. Because if we're honest, as freelancers and solopreneurs, especially those of us who are more creative or right-brained, sometimes we can tend to ignore the numbers, just hoping they'll go away, but that's not ever the solution. We want to make sure that we're fully informed of the financial health of our business and have some very specific goals set so that we can see this become a long-term sustainable business. But to me, there are 3 things that can really mess us up and take us off track when it comes to our business finance. And so the very first thing, which he actually doesn't cover in this book because it's honestly outside the scope, but still very closely associated, is that I think you have to have a really strong understanding, and maybe get real with yourself if you haven't already, of understanding your own personal finance and having a good understanding of what you actually need to make, not just want to make, but what you need to make in your photography business in order to sustain your current lifestyle. So what do you need for your rent and your groceries and your health care and all the myriad of things that we need in order to, pay for our day-to-day lives. Now, if you need help with that, or you're struggling with debt, or whatever your financial situation, if you need help, fortunately, there are so many amazing online free resources in the world of personal finance. So I will link some of my favorites down below, but please promise me before you start your own business that you have a really strong understanding of your own personal finances and what your goals need to be. So then that leads me to the second thing that I think can really take you off track in terms of the finances of your business, really get you into some trouble, is that when you start a business, inevitably you'll also open up a business bank account. If you haven't done that, you probably should, because it's really helpful in order for receiving payments for clients and keeping your business finances separate from your personal finances. And so when you open up that business account, the bank will probably also offer you, like they offered me, a business credit card, which, oh buddy, whoa, you got to watch out with the credit cards, especially when it comes to photography, because now how much easier is it when you're looking at that lens, or you're looking at that light, or you're looking at that whatever, and you're like, well, I got the credit card and it's a business expense. And then before you know it, you get way too far behind the 8 ball and you find yourself saddled with a bunch of business debt. You do not want to do that. I'm not saying credit cards aren't helpful. They absolutely are. I use one as a part of my business, but I make sure to pay the balance every single month. Because the most important thing, and I have said this a million times on this channel, and I will say it again, is that the gear does not make the photos. You make the photos. So work with the gear you have. Once you have a great successful business going and you have a really strong understanding of your finances and your personal finances and your business goals, all of that, then great. Then you can set aside specific funds for buying new gear. But until you're there, rock what you got and be proud of it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if you compared various photography businesses, it wouldn't be who's got the fancier gear that would indicate their success. It'd be who made the most money at the end of the year. And then the third area where you can go really wrong in your business financially is not understanding what you actually need to charge for a photo shoot. Like, what do you actually need in order to sustain your business? Because of course we talked about, your own personal finance of what I need to pay my mortgage and my groceries and, my kids' preschool and things like that. But then when we're looking at our business, what do we need to make in our business in order to create a profit? Because that's one of the things here in the book, the monthly fixed business expenses. What What are those expenses that we're experiencing every single month? So for example, Adobe is going to automatically bill me every single month for using Premiere and Photoshop and Lightroom. And I've got my membership to the PPA and my liability insurance and my cell phone, all those things that you have to pay for now as a part of your business become those monthly business expenses. Because now in theory, if you know what you need to make at the end of the year in order to sustain your current lifestyle, and if you know what your current business expenses are that you can predict on a monthly basis, and you add those two things together, and that gives you your monthly total sales. And then that is what you use as your target as you're setting goals for your business plan. Now, in order to help you out, I've got an Excel spreadsheet, and you can use it to plug in all of your expenses, all those monthly expenses. And I've got a whole list on there of things that maybe you're not even thinking about, and you're like, oh, that's right, I do spend that every month. So you can create that list and then be able to also plug in what is your monthly net profit you need to make in order to take care of yourself personally, an area for considering then also your taxes, because two guaranteed things in life, right? Death and taxes. So make sure we're plugging in all of that. So then you have some very realistic sales goals to work from in your business plan.